Welcome back to Above the Grain. I'm Aaron Moore, and it's been a few days since Ivan and I did any filming in here, so I wanted to go through like a shop update where we are on a few of these projects. We've been busy in the shop, just kind of dialing in our work, getting some projects done. You know, it's the first of the month, so we have to get bills paid, we have to get things done and out to get paid. But what we have going on this week is that Jorge Zalszupin wall unit that you saw us disassemble just a couple days ago. It's all been stripped, sanded, repaired. We've done had a lot of loose veneer on a lot of these edges, like on these corners here. Somebody refinished this a few years ago, we think, before it went to auction, and they didn't do a very good job. You could even see some of the original filler that they used, like a very light, more than likely a Bondo, like a wood Bondo that you could use, is about this color. So we went through, fixed everything that we could, a lot of loose veneer around these hinges as well. So we fixed that to make sure when we reapply them, reinsert the pin, we don't get any rips or tears in the veneer. So that would not be good. We kind of work our way down. You can see the boxes, all the frames are sanded, repaired, glued the veneer. Those are ready to go. We're going to work our way over the beautiful rosewood desk. We're going to assemble this first thing this morning, right after I give you this shop update. And the last thing that's going to go in the booth, here in a few minutes, is all the pieces that are going back to the yellow. So the customer had a custom yellow made that we are going to put on here, and we're going to do the 3 drawers, the 2 cubes, and there's 1 door that was bright yellow. So you're going to see us put those in the spray booth and take it from that beautiful rosewood to a bright yellow color. It'll give a nice contrast. But I said, these guys, you remember these the burl tables? They've been here a few days. They're a little dusty, so we're going to clean them up, wipe them down, get them in the office and ready for the customer to come pick them up. But the first thing, like I mentioned, we're going to get this desk assembled. And remember, we were having issues last week on the metal. So as you can see, now it has that nice brushed aluminum appearance to it. It's been sanded with 150 grit, 220, 320, and then our sanding sponge that's probably at least a 380 or a 400. Very fine. But what I'm going to do first is get some gloves on, and we're going to spray a little bit of WD-40 and hit it with that last little bit of fine steel wool to give us that final protection, because the WD-40 will protect it as well, but it'll give us that last little luster that I think it needs. It's just missing a little bit of pop to it. So that's what we're gonna start with. That the screws are also nice and clean now. We went through, I cleaned the screws, and we're going to show you how to do this in my new masterclass series over on the school community. So we're going to start filming those probably sometime today or tomorrow. We're going to show you a lot of these tips, tricks, and techniques on the restoration process. Okay, so all I do is, you could use the spray or you could use the gallon form. We have both. This is quicker, and it was right here, so I don't need to go walk and find the next one. But I'm just going to shoot just a little mist of that on, open up the steel wool. And I said it's very important here to go with the long passes, so that way you kind of keep that nice brushed aluminum appearance going. If you start going in weird angles, you're going to start messing up all that hard work you did with that sandpaper. So we'll just hit it, just a few times. It doesn't need much. Then we'll let it dry for just a second, and then grab a rag. And we'll see how it turned out next to the sample that's sitting right here. You see that now? It looks really good. We're going to wipe it off real well. It doesn't really show probably in the camera, but you can just see it has a little bit of a luster to it now that this one doesn't. It just slightly varies the color. And now with the WD-40, it offers a little bit of protection on the metal, which is what we want because it's going to be stored down in Laguna Beach. We got the metal clean, and after about 4 attempts, the glass was finally finished up last week. They kept getting this polished edge. There were still scratch marks in it from where they probably sanded it or cut it. There was definitely, I saw all the screw ups, like they had all the original samples, the mess ups in their shop. And I said, I'm glad that my customer over at the glass shop picked it out, because I said this desk, like I always mention, it's about a $25,000 desk. So it needs to look perfect. So what I'm going to do is set it down on my shoes and grab the metal. And I said this might be one of those things where I have to have Ivan hop off the camera and give me a hand with this. But this is how it goes. We're going to put this new screw, or the clean screw, through it. Put it through one of these openings here. And then we'll lift it up, and I'm going to probably put a second screw so it doesn't scratch. So if we put one here, it won't fall on me, and it won't scratch that new glass. But what we're going to do is lift it up. And I said I think it's just the wrong height, so I'll have Ivan help me. We'll get this on, and then we can show you kind of how it goes back together once we get these first 2 screws in. Thanks to the muscle of Ivan, we got this up here, got the 4 screws started, but we still have to align it. So right here you could tell it's about 1/8 of an inch low. So when I set it, I'm going to lift up that glass. Actually, let me get this screw in a little closer first before I do that. Make it a little bit easier. There we go. Now I can kind of lift it up because I know the top glass is going to sit right on this edge. So we got that one set. I'm going to do this one here. Hopefully kind of ties it in, locks it in place. Perfect. So as I said, that looks good there. Now I think I just have to move this one up as well to level it out, so that way this metal is lined up with the glass. You can kind of see it's kind of crooked right now. So I'll kind of come down a little bit lower. And just like that, you're looking at one of the rarest desks in the world. And I think we've done 3 or 4 of these ones exactly, and we've done a few of the other like filing cabinets that go next to it. It's a piece by Antoine Philippon and Jacqueline Lecoq. I think they were French designers. This is, like I said, one of the most iconic desks in that mid-century design era. So I said it's done. Glass is mostly clean. We'll dial it in once we get it back to the gallery, making sure we got all the fingerprints off and everything like that. But I said this is one of the coolest desks. And if you remember just a few videos ago, the original glass had a bright green square. This one, the customer wanted to bring it back to a black. All this glass has been replaced because it was all damaged, but we're going to keep it with it. The customer is going to store it. If this does sell, he's going to offer it to the person who buys it if they want to have the original glass either put back on or kept with the piece. They could do that as well. But I said, just take a look at it. It's one of the nicest desks out there. Simple, basic, but absolutely gorgeous. Now it's time to touch up some of these pieces for that Zalszupin wall unit. So what I'm going to do is make up a color. I've already done a bunch of pieces to kind of get this figured out. I like to start light, like we always talk about. Start on the lighter side of the color spectrum. Just enough to cover up the old filler. And then we can start working our way in the next coats, start getting it to the, to the next level. So it's really good to just get that starting layer on. I'll come back with a little bit of this toner and just kind of seal it in. So it's really important to do this because if you go back with the paintbrush on the next pass, because it has lacquer thinner in there, it could just eat off that finish and destroy the touch-up you just did. So I said, we'll do that. Now you can see like that one's really light compared to those sections, really light. This one's close. So I said we're going to play with probably 3 or 4 different colors and start blending them in and, and work our way around. I think this was the worst door. I think this was basically the culprit why we're doing this. The customer, brought this piece to us. We decided, hey, it needed more than just a basic, touch-up repair, which is what it came in for. And we were going to swap out that yellow and change it to a new yellow. Then we started looking. I think it was this door. You could see the other person's touch-ups. They were very noticeable. They weren't much different than this. They just had a few brush strokes in it. And I think they used the stain pen a lot more than the brush setup that we do. So it was very fake looking, looked kind of cheesy. We decided to strip this, the doors all down, get them to raw wood, glue, repair, and start from scratch. That way we knew going back, they said this customer does not want to have to do this again in just a few years. So we knew that, you know, this was the best way, you know, to do the job. You know, kind of the only way to do the job is the best way. So now you can see I have a little bit darker of a color, a little bit of brown. And in this one, I'm going to just kind of start feathering it. I don't want to add a lot of color to it. I'm just trying to add, you know, the next layer. So I'm not going to worry about that one because you can see how much darker it is. Well, maybe I'll just add this a little bit. Fine. You talked me into it. And so just kind of work my way around. So I'm going to let this dry for just a few minutes, and that's the thing you need to really dial in your shop, is to learn how to jump back and forth in between different parts of the project, so you're not just sitting here watching paint dry. You know, you're not going to make any money. Your shop's not going to get projects out if you're just sitting here wasting time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab both brushes, my really thick brush and the really thin one, and kind of work my way around this one and see if I could find any of this damage. Because I said some of these had more than others. You can see right here on the back, this one actually has much more than I remembered. So I think I'm going to probably have to add a little bit of the light color again. But yeah, somebody added screws to this, we think, at some point. And it's kind of a weird thing. All the boxes have these 3 holes. So maybe these were attached on a wall at some point. So, you know, we don't really know much about it. I'm kind of screwing up here. I'm actually doing the dark color first, which you really don't want to do. So we'll see if it pays off. But I'm just using the fine brush, you know, in this situation. I'll come back and add a little bit of the other color, you know, in between. So kind of just look around, see if we could find right there. I can see just a little bit right here on this edge. And that's the thing about rosewood, it's really nice. If you're really good with your hands, you could just add a little bit of grain structure to kind of match some of this that goes around. This is very hard to do if you have oak or, you know, ash, very simple type of wood. This has a lot more character and darkness to it that really helps out in the touch-up process. Let's see. Now we're back on the door. But before we get back to this, if you've learned something new from this video already, before we're actually on the next steps of this process, make sure to go down, hit that subscribe button. It'll really help with me, the algorithm, and the growth of this channel. And then, like I said, it'll show everyone else the, you know, it'll get further in the algorithm. It'll teach people how to properly do this at home or in their own shop, or, you know, wherever they want to, you know, do their refinishing. I'm lucky enough that I have the shop here. So we're letting that dry one more time, and then we'll come back here and see. Let's put this right here. See how this turns out. Just add a little bit of color in between. So I said it's very strange why there were, you know, random holes in the back of this cabinet, but there was obviously a reason, because all of them have it. Maybe they screwed it into the wall, the whole unit, you know, for earthquake reasons. Maybe it was, you know, something like that. But I believe he bought this from Europe, so I don't think earthquakes are a big issue in Europe. So it is possible, because these pieces were all modular, that some of these pieces were actually just mounted on a wall next to the cabinet, and, you know, in one of its, you know, iterations of style. So we don't know much about it. All we know is that we are here to fix it. And the customer is, you know, says he's a perfectionist, so we're trying to do that for him, trying to get it back to as close to perfect as possible, which is the way it would have come from the factory. So I think I think we've got just about got it. I might add a little bit more black to this one. I'll add those black lines again, but I think we've got it. Okay, so we're gonna kind of take a look at the colors now. I'm just gonna play with a little bit more of these toners, kind of darken up some of these lighter streaks because they are pretty pronounced. And then we'll get it in the spray booth. We're going to spray a few coats of the toner in the spray gun to richen this back up, seal it again, 3 to 4 coats of sealer, let it dry, come back tomorrow, sand it, and spray a final. So now you can see, this is the last door. I'm going to be finishing touching this up just like you saw and get all this back in the booth. And like I said, I think we're running out of time on the camera today. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, and then we'll get back and show you how we finish these up. And then hopefully Thursday we'll be putting this back together and you get a grand reveal.